Hi guys, as promised, I am here with my tarot cards today, and I will be picking a few for you if you're on live at the moment. If you've not yet subscribed to the YouTube channel, please hit the red button at the end when you're on your way out. So today I picked up a card, and the deck of cards that I use, for those of you who'd been asking, is the Mythic Tarot. I absolutely love the color, the design, just everything about these deck of cards, plus they fit in my hands quite easily. Um, I love my tarot cards. I've had this particular deck for perhaps about 15 or 20 years. I've got two other decks that I use as well, but these I have to say are my absolute favorite. They've traveled the world with me, and they've met a lot of interesting people, from the big screen to the small screen to the stage of everyday life. So the card that I picked today, and when I do the card of the day, I basically just meditate and I draw a card, hoping to share a message with those of you who might need a message at that particular time. So the card that came up today is this Page of Swords, and this card, the Page of Swords, comes across as um, reversed. So when a card is reversed, it changes its meaning, and not all of it, but most, I would say majority of the cards, when they're reversed, it changes the direction of that card. The same as if you're driving, and if you basically just go into drive, you would go forward, and if you reverse, go backwards. So the card has that, it changes the direction of meaning. So today's card is actually asking you to take charge. And it says, in the past, you may have been a bit hasty with certain decisions, and you may have perhaps um, done certain things more with haste on your side as opposed to making a proper decision, whether it was your intuitive decision or whether it was a well thought out or well planned decision. So you may have been a bit disappointed with things because it may not have gone exactly the way you would have wanted it to. Now, this card is asking you to focus on a plan of action, not to be hasty. Hi, Avisha, thanks for joining. So, this card is saying don't be hasty, think things through, but do not be lazy. Sometimes, when we reach a certain situation in life, whether it's in a job, in communicating with our child or our partner, we get so fed up, we feel like no matter what I say, it's not changing um, the dynamics. So I'm just not going to say anything. I'm so tired of it. So we tend to sort of give up and we tend to lose hope. Now, this card is saying don't have a lazy approach. A lazy approach meaning that don't switch off, don't give up. There's times when we can let things go, and then there are times when we throw in the towel and give up. Letting things go and giving up are two very different things. Letting things go, if your child may have spilled something because they're nervous about an exam and they may have spilled their drink or just not done whatever they should have done, you can let that go. But when you feel like I've asked you to do something and I'm giving up, that's very different. Perhaps it means what this card is saying: change your tactic, change your technique. When we do things and it does not work, when it comes to perhaps work, we might change our technique and think, okay, that's not worked. Let me look at how I can go about it a different way. For those of you who might like cooking or baking, if you've tried a certain recipe, it hasn't worked for you, you might even post on your Facebook or social media and ask for any advice or suggestions. What can I do because this cake's flopped, or whatever it might be. Now, that's what the card is saying. If you feel something's not working, don't give up by losing hope. Look at what your options are. You might feel like you're trapped. You might feel like it's a dead end situation no matter what I do. But you are conditioning yourself to think no matter what I do, it's not working for me. You're not exactly feeling it, you are thinking it. So sometimes it's good for you to trust your intuition. And I always advise my clients, and I say, before you trust my instinct, before you trust my intuition, listen to your own intuition. We're born with intuition. But when we don't use our own intuition, when we don't trust our own intuition as much as we should, what we're doing is we're opening a door for someone else's ideas to stream in. And that's when we start instantly doubting ourselves and we don't feel confident of our decision. And then it comes across as people around us have better ideas. We feel people around us are more knowledgeable. We feel people around us know something better than we do. And we ought to know ourselves the best. We should know exactly everything in ourselves, from what makes us feel excitable to what taste we like to everything, from the way we like to eat our food from to what we like in bed. But what happens is we sometimes lose hope. We get that lazy approach towards ourselves and we sort of give up. And when someone streams into our life, they're not just being intuitive with giving us advice. So let's just say a partner comes along and we end up thinking, oh my God, this person knows me better than anything else. How does he know so much about me, etc., etc.? Because what's happened is you've forgotten to know yourself for a while. You may have gotten fed up with a relationship. You may have overinvested into a relationship that was not meant for you. Now, it does not mean that you should never get into another relationship. It does not mean you need to quit on life. For those of you who have had a drink, you may have gotten drunk on some drink at some point, and you would have said, I'll never have another drink again. But when you go out celebrating with your friends, you would have another drink. And you put it down to a bad experience. So, this is the time for you to start looking at, how do I trust myself? I've got to first understand certain things, put it down to bad experience, let it go, instead of feeling like I've given up. Because when we don't let things go, when we don't apologize to ourselves, I have effed up, I've made a big mistake, I'm letting it go, I'm moving on, and I trust myself that I'm going to be happy. And I trust what I want. I know what I want. I can't remember the name of the singer. I've got a list of demands written on the palm of my hand. You have to know what your demands are of your life. You don't have to demand it from anybody else, but you have to know what they are. You have to live it, you have to enjoy it. So when this person comes along, you don't end up feeling like I've given up, someone knows me, they're intuitive, we fit together. That person might just be temporary. So that means that you've got to enjoy whatever it is for that moment. But when you trust your intuition, it will tell you this person, this job, this whatever is temporary or it's permanent. And you would be able to make the best decision for yourself. Now, I am going to answer a few questions. I've got my deck of cards here and I've got about 25 minutes. So if you have any questions that you'd like to ask me, please pop them on here and I will be able to draw a few cards for you. I know how it feels when you sometimes feel like giving up, because sometimes you feel like you're knocking your head against a wall and you feel like I've tried every avenue. But you've got to talk to yourself as you would a friend. You've got to talk to yourself as you would a friend, because we always give our friends the best advice. So the card that I'm drawing for Sayuri is actually a really good card, Sayuri. It's the card of the Hierophant, and this is very educated, and it shows that you've got a lot of life lessons to come ahead of you. So even though you've gone through so much already, you're a very strong person. You would have felt as though you've given everything of yourself previously into various aspects, and that shows that you're very passionate. But if you're thinking right now to focus a little bit more on a new pathway and a new direction, even a new environment, so you go for it, it looks very, very positive. And it also shows a study of some sort. So I would say go for it, it looks really good. Tasma, your message came up, but it seems to have disappeared somewhere. So if you can please repost it, or I'm going to not be rude, but what I'm going to do is try to go onto my phone so I could see if I can find that message or the other messages coming up, and I can answer them for you. So at the moment, what I am picking up is that you are going to be happy, you're going to be reaching where you need to go, but I'm picking up so much of hurt around you, so much of pain. Now, this is a really positive card that's come up for you. It's the King of Wands, and this shows someone spiritual, someone awakened spiritually who would be able to understand you, and someone who you would be able to feel, I trust, I feel safe with, and I'm ready. But I have to be honest, the cards are showing for your own personal self that you've got so much going on in your head, and I can't see you being very balanced to go into anything and feel safe and comfortable right now. So the cards are asking you to work on certain things, work on fears that you've built up inside of you, and find a way to let go. You've got to find the balance, and I'm not sure if you can see this card properly, but this card is showing, oh, it's quite beaten and battered up, but it shows you've got to find the balance, and you've got to find that sort of justice within yourself, that you've got to tell yourself, yes, I did make an error in judgment, but it does not mean that I'm a bad judge of character. I did invest a lot, but at that point it was right. It was what I wanted to do. It was what I chose to do. It does not mean I have to feel off balance right now. So this card is asking you to find a pathway within yourself to build your own balance and your confidence. Um, Okay, so Avisha, let's see what card comes up for you. Well, Avisha, the card is showing that you are feeling already sleepless nights and feeling very restless, feeling almost as though you can't see the light at the end of the tunnel. Now, the cards are also showing that between the two of you, you're going to have a few arguments stemming, so just watch out for that. You are normally the intuitive one, you're normally passionate. This card describes you really well. Queen of Wands, someone who can think, think alternatively and come up with various new answers, new ideas, and you're able to get things done. But right now, you feel a bit fed up, you feel slightly caged, and you are going to come out of this shining. But right now, I don't want you to break your relationship with each other, because some relationships, once there's harsh words spoken at a time of disaster, you can repair the disaster, but the relationship takes a very, very long time because sometimes we tend to come across as much too hard. Um, okay, let's see. If you are looking at making a commitment with someone, now the card that comes up for that relationship question that just popped up right now, and your initials are BB. It just shows a bit of pain. Personally, I don't know if this is the one for you long term, because unless both of you are prepared to work on it, I am seeing a few trust issues that you would go through, and I'm seeing a few communication issues. Now, the trust is not infidelity trust issues. The trust issues look as though they are relating to just the way in which you might communicate, silly little communication errors. So that is something for you to both work on. Um, Now, I'm just sorry looking at my phone because there's quite a few messages popping up, and I'm trying to get through to answer all of your questions. If I haven't answered them already, please post another one. Um, you know, BB, I'm going to just shorten it to that. It doesn't show he's a bad person for you, but the cards are showing that there's a lot of things that he's carrying emotional baggage. And it shows that you've actually become so much more stronger. You've built yourself up. And that's why you feel I'm ready to take this big step in my life. However, it looks like it's a lot of hard work, and you're going to have to ask yourself, am I prepared to walk that path? If I'm prepared to walk that path, I can hang in there and we both can walk on it together. However, you are not his therapist. Um, Good luck, Tasma. I'm so happy to see that you're working on it. You know, when people say you need to do mindfulness, now mindfulness is so different. You know, you could do things like you could lay on the floor and take a 10-minute breather, take a little break. You could close your eyes while you're at work, at your desk, and just breathe in, count to 10. You can have a sip of coffee, or you could eat a piece of chocolate, and you can do different things like that where you are mindful of the taste, the sensation, etc., etc. But sometimes when we're so stressed out, when we've had a rough day, or we've had an argument, or we've had something with a partner where we feel unsettled, or we basically will feel we're not in that frame of mind to taste that chocolate and feel everything. So, with myself, what I do, my mindfulness is I would get into the kitchen because, frankly, I have to cook every day. My husband, he would be so happy to have takeout every day. He kind of loves his junk food. But, you know, he was a bachelor for so long. So, but for me, I don't really like junk food. So I get into the kitchen, and what I do is I play around with recipes, I play around with my senses. Now, I try to look at things that don't take long to cook and things that don't require too much of effort or time. But what I'm doing is I'm being mindful of my surroundings. I'm taking the aromas, my senses are being awakened. I might play some music and that sort of thing. So you need to look at what mindful things you can do on your healing path from that one relationship that you invested a great part of yourself into being able to build a bridge towards going into a new relationship. Thank you for the lovely comment, BB. Um, well, Sayuri, as I've picked up for you, your card that I picked up was about new beginnings, starting over, and if you're thinking of doing something like a study, it looks very good. Long term, your cards are showing you would have the ideal life, the ideal partner, the perfect home, and everything that's ideal to you. However, I am picking up a point where you were at a very stable point in your life, and then suddenly it felt like the carpet was pulled out from under your feet. So sometimes when we go through something like that, where we actually believe this is where we want to go, and then we feel like, I'm not there, what's happened? How did this happen? It becomes a little bit difficult to regroup and to move forward. So this card is showing don't actually lose any faith at all. You're born to be this person that lives a princess lifestyle. The card that comes up is such a beautiful card. It's someone who's going to find that inner path, that inner space, everything that she wants out of life. To someone else, they might want a Ferrari, and you might be quite happy with a little beaten up car that's pink because you love it. But you're going to have that perfect life that you are envisioning. It just looks like at this point you're going to have to take a few little steps towards it, and you've got to have that faith it's going to happen. But also, the cards show lots of money in your future, and it looks more like through work rather than a windfall. So I'm going to head off in a few minutes. If there are any other questions, please feel free to post them. If you would feel someone around you might benefit from the advice that I've shared, please feel free to share my video. And if you would like a private appointment, I am available, and you can inbox me on my page. But apart from that, it was really lovely being on here with you guys, and I will see you next week. So, on a parting note, I'm going to just share this card again, which says you've got to just not feel that mental switching off. So, when someone says you're being lazy, it doesn't mean you're physically being lazy. It means mentally you are not pushing yourself the way you should. And when we stimulate ourselves mentally, our body can achieve anything. But when we mentally feel like, oh, I don't know, I don't think so, maybe tomorrow, we're conditioning ourselves to believe we cannot do it. We don't want to do it, it's not worth doing. And when we condition ourselves to believe it's not worth doing, what we're inherently saying to ourselves is, you are not worth doing it for. So if we don't believe we are worth doing something for, why would you expect someone else to do something for you? Have a fabulous rest of your week and see you next week.